Alright, so I'm in the process of making a new stand for my wife's Armour, and I figured this would be a good opportunity to explain this. This is a scale skirt. It is quite heavy. I'm going to put it down. Yeah, that's one of the biggest flaws of that design I made. It's based on historical examples. Around first half of the 14th century, you do see a lot of scale skirts depicted in art, though I am not aware of any physical survivals. However, they also turn up a lot on sculptures and stuff, and it was a sculpture of St. George in that book right there, Armour of the English Knight, 1400 to 1450. I was looking through this, trying to come up with ideas on how to make a historically plausible fantasy armour for my wife, and I saw, there we go, this, page 120. As you can actually see on this depiction of St. George, it almost does kind of look like a segmented breastplate like the Cherbourg 13, and it's got a hinged close on it like I gave my wife's one, and it's got scale skirt. I've talked to a few other reenactors and they seem to reckon that that's a relatively normal setup for this time period, although you don't see a lot of it in reenactment. Now, I did do the scales on my wife's a bit different. Here's a scalloped to a point. I made them go more like a Gothic arch, you know, a bit of artistic license, you know. I'm just playing around with steel, having a bit of fun making some fantasy armour, even though, other than the hot bluing, the peacock colour, it is a very plausible harness for the early 1400s. However, I made some big mistakes. First being that I think I must have gotten some of the measurements wrong when making the breastplate. It didn't go down below the ribs, so it was a little bit high. And so there's the bottom of the breastplate, and then there's the natural waist, which has the belt that's holding up the skirt, and then there's the skirt below it. Oh, that bugged me a bit. She looked wonderful, but yeah, it made a bit of a gap there. From what I understand, I've been told that the conventional way to recreate a scale skirt to go underneath the breastplate, what you do is the top of the, you don't have a belt, you point it to the arming doublet, so you'd get, you know, something like this that you'd be wearing underneath of it, and where you want the skirt to be up your body, basically make little eyes and lace it so that it's at that height, and then you put the breastplate over the top of it, so you have a hem up the top of the skirt. But you know, I was running out of time, and to be honest, I was just having a bit of fun with that one. So I'll talk about the construction. Essentially, all that is a bunch of scales riveted to a skirt, and then held up by the fact that it's got a belt that attaches to it. It's not historical, but if I had my time again, other than making sure that it laces to a arming doublet underneath, other than pointing it to an arming doublet underneath, if I was to make it again, I would not rivet all of the scales on. That's a nightmare. If I was going to do it again, I would just stitch all of the plates on. Something I will mention about the construction is on some of these, you can see little holes That's because it's meant to overlap that way. And originally I was going to use those holes to rivet it to the skirt as a backing, so I would recommend stitching it to the skirt as backing, but that's just to keep them all in place so they don't gap. But I was running out of time and couldn't be bothered. This is just it's a costume armour. My wife's not going to fight in it, but yeah, it's just a simple matter of cutting out all of the pieces, and I did my little heat tint, creased them down the middle, and yeah, just attached them. Aesthetically I went with small and just progressively larger lames, because of the way that statue of St. George was depicted. But the biggest problem with that armour overall is it's just too long. I wanted to make it a longer skirt, it goes down to her knees, to make it more feminine in outline, make her really look like a princess. But the weight of it overall just became too much, and whenever she was walking around it would clang. It was so loud. She was like a giant steel wind chime. However, that did mean that wherever she went, she was the center of attention, and she just soaked it up. I just loved seeing her enjoy all of the attention, because she did look amazing. But that was my wife's armour for the Abbey 2022. Alright. If I ever make a scale skirt again, maybe I'll do a construction video on it, but honestly, it's such a simple concept. I don't think you really need a how-to video for that. Alright, well, this.